Hello friends, my name is Jayendra. Welcome to another video of SW Environment Consultants and Engineers. In today's video, we are going to learn about analysis of chloride as per IS 4500B. So let's start the video. So in today's video, we are going to learn about what is chloride, the brief introduction of chloride, and then we'll see the principle of measurement for measuring chloride in the wastewater sample, what equipment will be required for this measurement, the procedure of analysis, step by step procedure we will see, then we will see the calculation of chloride, and lastly we will discuss about measurement uncertainty. So let's start with the introduction of chloride. So chloride is one of the major inorganic anion in water and wastewater. The salty taste in water is generally produced by the chloride ion only, but this taste depends upon the cation with the chloride. So there are many types of cation may be present like NaCl, sodium chloride, or calcium chloride, magnesium chloride. So the salty taste may differ due to these cations. So we will see the example. If the cation is sodium, if it is NaCl, then taste occur as low as 250 milligram per liter of chloride concentration. The salty taste can be identified as low as 250 milligram per liter of chloride concentration. But if the cation is calcium or magnesium, the salty taste may be absent till 1000 milligram per liter of chloride concentration. So this is the difference due to the cations. So NaCl is very commonly identified in wastewater, sewage water, or nearby sea coast area because the sea water is saline. So this is commonly identified salt NaCl, and chloride may be harm the metallic pipes structure as well as plants. So this was a brief introduction about chloride. So let's understand the principle of measurement. So the sample, water sample can be there or wastewater sample can be there. So the sample containing chloride with added potassium chromate indicator, it is titrated against 0.014 normal silver nitrate solution at the pH of 7 to 10. The pH is very important in this analysis. So at the neutral or slightly alkaline solution, the chromate indicator will react with silver nitrate and gives red precipitates, which is the end point of titration. So let's understand it with the chemical reaction example. So the AgNO3, it is silver nitrate and it will react with NaCl. Here can be any type of salt, magnesium chloride, calcium chloride. For example, we are taking here sodium as a cation. So let's assume the NaCl. So AgNO3 will react with NaCl and gives AgCl precipitates, which is of white color. So K2Cr2O7 will give the solution yellow color, and this HCl will give white color. So the solution will appear as slightly milky yellow color. Okay. So after the chloride content is finished into the sample, this AgNO3 will react with the chromate indicator. Okay. So the chromate indicator, when AgNO3 reacts with chromate indicator at the pH of 7 to 10, it gives red precipitates, so which is the end point of the titration. So whenever red precipitates start occurring, stop the titration and note the reading. So basically this is the principle of measurement of chloride. So let's understand how can we perform the analysis, which equipments will be required for this. So let's understand that. So some glasswares and reagents will be required for this analysis. Let's see which type of glassware and reagents will be required. So firstly we will require a conical flask of 250 ml, pipette of 10 or 25 ml, or both you can take, and the burette of 50 ml. Then reagents will be required, AgNO3 0.0141 normal as we have discussed, then chromate indicator, then H2O2, the peroxide. It will required for the removal of interferences, which we'll see in next slides. Then we'll require H2SO4 and NaOH for adjusting the pH between 7 to 10. So you can find the procedure of preparation of all these reagents given in annexure. You can find the link in description. So let's understand the procedure of analysis. So there are different type of interferences may interfere in this analysis process. So one of the interferences are the sulfide, thiosulfate and sulfite ions, which can interfere, but it can be removed by the treatment of hydrogen peroxide. Next is orthophosphate in excess of 25 milligram per liter. If orthophosphate is excess than 25 milligram per liter of concentration, then it will interfere by precipitating silver phosphate. Lastly, the iron. So if iron is present more than concentration of 10 milligram per liter, then it can interfere by masking endpoint. What is the meaning of masking endpoint? So the iron, the color of iron is red, so it can indicate the red color very early. So this is one of the interferences. So now we will see the step-by-step procedure for analysis. So let's start with step-by-step procedure for chloride. So we'll start with sample preparation. So in sample preparation we have to take care of two things. First, if your sample is colored or turbid, add 3 ml of AlOH thrice, aluminum hydroxide suspension. Mix it properly, let the precipitate settle and take a supernatant for analysis. Secondly, we have to set the pH between 7 to 10. So if the pH is below 7, then add NaOH to set the pH between 7 to 10, and if the pH is higher than 10, add H2SO4 accordingly to set the pH between 7 to 10. So here we are taking sample of borewell water. So the sample is cleared, so we don't have to add AlOH thrice, and we will check the pH if we require to set this pH or not. So we will check it with this pH paper. So here the pH paper is showing green color, which indicates the pH is between 7 to 8. So there is no requirement of setting pH as well. Now we will move to the titration part. So in titration we are taking 2 conical flasks. We will take 20 ml of sample and 20 ml of distilled water for blank titration in both the conical flask. So we will take we have taken 20 ml of sample, and we will take another pipette to add distilled water. Make sure every glassware you are using in this process is washed with tap water and distilled water to avoid any contamination, and use separate pipette for everything, every reagent or every sample. In case you suspect the sample is having more amount of chloride, so in that case the sample will consume more AgNO3, so you can dilute the sample accordingly as per your requirement. Here the borewell sample is not having that much of chloride, so I am taking full 20 ml of sample. You can take sample as per your requirement. Okay. Now we will give the sample peroxide treatment to avoid any interferences of sulfide or thiosulfate if it is present in the sample. So whenever you are dealing with peroxide, wear gloves properly, because if the peroxide is fallen on your skin, it will leave white marks and itching on your skin, so it is harmful for your skin. So wear proper gloves and then give peroxide treatment to the sample to avoid any interferences. After adding hydrogen peroxide, mix the sample properly so the interference can be removed if they are present. Now after removing interferences, fill the burette with standardized AgNO3. The standardization process of AgNO3 is given in annexure, so refer to that and take accurate normality of AgNO3. Here we are taking the standardized AgNO3. The normality of AgNO3 is 0.0141 normal. Now we will add potassium chromate into samples and blank. This is indicator which will help in titration. So we'll add 1 ml of potassium chromate indicator into each. After adding potassium chromate indicator, we will mix it properly. This is sample and this is blank. So now we will titrate quickly both the sample and blank. Now we will quickly titrate the sample first. So as we have seen in principle, when we add AgNO3 into sample, the AgNO3 will react with a chloride present into the sample and form the white precipitates. Okay, so as you can see here, the color is milky yellow types because the white precipitates of AgCl is present in the sample. When chloride is finished into the sample, the AgNO3 will react with chromate and form the silver chromate precipitate, which is of red color. So whenever you see the red color is started changing, stop the titration and note the reading. So here you can see the color is changed into red color, brick red color. So we stop the titration here and we will note the reading. The reading of for this sample is 11.5 ml. Now we will titrate the blank. A reading of blank has to be between 0.3 to 0.4 ml. So here we can see the color is changed into red color and the reading is 0.3 ml. So we will note both the reading and we will move to the calculation part. So firstly we will have to know the normality, accurate normality of silver nitrate. So this is the equation of knowing the normality. N1 is equals to N2 V2 upon V1, where N1 is normality of AgNO3, V1 is volume of AgNO3 consumed, N2 is normality of standard NaCl and V2 is volume of standard NaCl taken. So you can refer to our annexure, the standardization process and equation already given in annexure. You can find the link in description. So after calculating the normality, we will move to the calculation of chloride. So this is the basic equation of chloride. So A minus B into N into 35450 into D divided by sample. What does that mean? So A is 11.5 ml, the burette reading of sample. B is burette reading of blank, which is 0.3 ml. So what is the need of analyzing the taking burette reading of blank? So blank is basically distilled water. So distilled water is used in everything like preparing reagent, diluting the sample and many more things. So if the distilled water is containing chloride, so we have to eliminate that, we have to subtract that chloride content, so we can have the accurate reading of sample. So if your distilled water is having more amount of chloride, like if the burette reading is higher than 0.3 or 0.4, that means the distilled water is having more amount of chloride. So in that case, do not use such type of distilled water in the analysis, preparing reagent or dilution, anything. So that is the basic reason for titrating the blank sample and having the reading. Okay, and then normality already we have standardized, it is 0.01 for 1 normal. Dilution factor, we haven't diluted the sample, so we will not apply the dilution factor, but if in case you are diluting the sample, so you have to add the dilution factor. Then 35450 is the molecular weight of chloride converted into the milligram. Okay, so this is the basic equation. We will add the values to the equation. 11.5 minus 0.3 into 0.0141 and into 35405 divided by 20, which is the ml of sample we have taken. So the answer will be 279.91 milligram per liter of chloride. So this is the answer of our sample, which was the borewell sample. So this is the chloride content in the borewell sample. So now we will understand the measurement uncertainty. So let's understand about the measurement uncertainty of chloride. So a synthetic sample which was containing 241 milligram per liter of chloride, 108 milligram per liter of calcium, 82 milligram per liter of magnesium, 3.1 milligram per liter of potassium, 19.9 milligram per liter of sodium, 1.1 milligram per liter of nitrate, 0.25 milligram per liter of nitrate, 259 milligram per liter of sulfate and 42.5 milligram per liter of total alkalinity by NaHCO3. Everything was dissolved in distilled water and was analyzed by 41 different laboratories by the method IS 4500B, which is arganometric method. So the standard deviation recorded was 4.2% for all these 41 laboratories. Okay. In case of our laboratory, the standard deviation is 10.59% for fluoride. One should estimate the measurement uncertainty by repeatability on the standard fluoride sample of known value. So this was it about measurement uncertainty. So thank you so much for watching video till end. Like the video, give your opinion and suggestion in comment box, subscribe to the channel and share the video with your friends. We will make such videos very soon. Till then, keep learning about the environment and save the environment around you. Thank you so much.